the internet isn't standing still. I mean, people say, well, okay, aren't you done adopting the internet? Well, the internet isn't done changing, and we're part of one of the companies that's pushing that forward.
I mean, a lot of people are selling services off the internet. Do you think there's money in there are hills?
Well, that's sort of a $1 trillion question in terms of the way companies are jumping in and getting very high valuations. And if anybody has an opinion about that, they can buy these stocks or short these stocks. I don't think anybody really has the answer. We know that the internet is going to help consumers. It's going to let them find products they wouldn't have found before, get better prices than they would have gotten before. The fact is that the competition here is more intense than anywhere else, because setting up a website is now just buying some boxes of software and buying a very low-cost PC server from the great companies that do that work, and boom, you're up there. You're just like everybody else. And so what those business models look like, that's in a constant state of refinement. The profit margins will be under attack just because you'll have so many entrants into the field.
I've also read that you said that the internet will take longer to evolve. Is that true?
Well, certainly the internet is very much at the beginning of what it can achieve. I mean, we don't have wireless devices. We don't have these tablet devices. Most homes, if they're connected at all, are using a phone dial-up, which is a little bit slow. And so, we haven't seen anything yet. People aren't incorporating it into their lifestyle, but they will. And so the rewards, the companies who really do their job right, that the rewards are out there in the future. That's partly why people have these big valuations, is because they're anticipating that some of these companies will be there when the business is 50 times what it is today.
Perhaps you could explain for people what is the deal between you and the DOJ?
Well, the DOJ is trying to say that when we put new features into Windows, that maybe we shouldn't be allowed to do that. One of the features we put in is support for the internet. We saw the internet coming as a fantastic thing, really in some ways a realization of the vision that we had of information at our fingertips and all this communication. But it caught us by surprise how it bubbled along at a very low level, and then all of a sudden in 95, 96 just took off. So we built that into the PC operating system, so you could buy a machine and get onto the internet very easily. And what they're saying is we shouldn't have done that innovation, that we shouldn't have integrated it in, that we should have made people buy it and install it as a separate product, that we shouldn't have brought the price for that down and just had it there as a no extra cost feature. The irony of that is pretty strong, and it's a pretty fundamental principle for us to be able to add new things into Windows, because the operating system, what people expect of it, is always changing. They'll expect speech in the future. They'll expect vision in the future. And so we're just at the beginning of what we need to do there. So we're being forced to say, although we're successful, we're allowed to innovate.
So, and how did it go?
Well, the case is ongoing. The U.S. court system is not a fast process. In fact, I can guarantee you that no matter what goes on, there'll be many, many years before anything comes to a final conclusion. In the meantime, it's key to understand there's nothing holding us back in terms of improving the system, hiring the great people, moving ahead, because the opportunities now and the competition now is as intense as it's ever been.
In the court case itself, would you do anything different from the way you've done it already?
Well, there's nothing that we look back on and say we would have done any differently. Our commitment to the internet, our commitment to bring those capabilities to people without charging them extra, that is the most pro-consumer thing we've ever done.
But the actual court case, the whole thing about the video evidence, certainly what the press was saying was that you'd got you came over not very well. Do you regret doing the video evidence?
Well, I'm not involved actually in the court case. We did a video that proved exactly what we'd said, which is that the internet capabilities are really tightly integrated into the system. When you get help text, it's the internet thing. And the government attacked that video, and so our guy, incredible guy, stayed up all night and made one himself that showed all those things again without any of the confusion they'd managed to introduce. So I think we came out of that super well. The press is always going to be tough on companies that are successful like we are. That's the name of the game. We've been in that for many, many years. And as long as we're driving the products forward and getting people excited about computing, we're doing what we love.
What will happen if you lose?
Well, the fact is that innovation has allowed companies in the United States to lead in this whole internet thing. And that principle is a very important principle. I have no doubt that principle will be upheld. You don't have to do any contingency planning. We've been picked as the people who have to go out and show how important that is, and we will do that.
They split up AT&T, didn't they? Would you think they would try that with Microsoft?
No. AT&T was a government-created situation where they were given a government monopoly, and nobody could compete in that space. In our space, understand, the amount of competition is ever increasing, and that's partly why I love my job, because we've got to do new things. We've got to make it easier to use, more powerful, less expensive. We've got to go into these new form factors, and we're full speed ahead.